The observation deck of the Terran envoy hummed with nervous energy as the human delegation prepared for first contact with the Xerithian Empire. Jessica pressed her face against the transparent aluminum viewport, her breath fogging the surface as she gazed at the massive alien vessel docked alongside theirs. "It's like a floating cathedral made of obsidian and starlight," she whispered to Finn, who stood beside her adjusting his formal diplomatic uniform for the 100th time. "Stop fidgeting," Jessica said, swatting his hand away from his collar. "You look fine. Remember, we're just cultural attaches. We observe, we smile. We don't accidentally start an intergalactic incident." Finn laughed, though it sounded strained. "No pressure, right? Just humanity's first meeting with a spacefaring empire that spans 300 star systems." The Xerithians were legendary even among the handful of alien species humanity had encountered in their brief 50 years of faster-than-light travel. They were old, powerful, and terrifyingly efficient. Their queen, Sovereign Zathira, ruled with absolute authority, and every briefing document had emphasized the same point in bold. Underlined text: "Show proper deference to the sovereign at all times." The airlock hissed open, and Ambassador Chen led the human delegation across the umbilical corridor into the Xerithian ship. The moment they crossed the threshold, Jessica felt the difference. The gravity was slightly heavier, the air tinged with something like ozone and cinnamon. The lighting pulsed in wavelengths that made her eyes water until they adjusted. The Xerithians themselves were imposing tall, angular beings with chitinous exoskeletons that shimmered with bioluminescent patterns. Their faces were inscrutable, compound eyes reflecting the universe in 1,000 tiny mirrors. But it was the throne room that stole Jessica's breath. It stretched upward like a canyon carved from pure crystal, light refracting through impossible geometries. Holographic star maps floated in the air, showing the vast expanse of the Xerithian Empire. And at the far end, upon a throne that seemed to grow organically from the floor, sat the queen. Sovereign Zathira was magnificent. Where the other Xerithians were merely impressive, she was transcendent. Her exoskeleton was deep violet, shot through with veins of gold that pulsed with her heartbeat. Her crown wasn't metal, but living crystal that grew from her skull, refracting light into auroras. She was larger than her subjects, more elaborate, more everything. The delegation approached in careful formation, Ambassador Chen at the lead. Jessica and Finn hung back with the other junior staff, trying to be invisible and professional. "Look at the architectural integration," Finn muttered, always the engineer. "The throne isn't separate from the ship, it's part of the superstructure. This entire chamber is a load-bearing element." Jessica barely heard him. She was transfixed by the queen, by the way light played across her form, by the casual power in every minute gesture. The sovereign was listening to Ambassador Chen's formal greetings, her head tilted slightly, those compound eyes catching and reflecting everything. "She's beautiful," Jessica breathed, not even aware she was speaking aloud. Like a living work of art. How did evolution create something so perfect? She felt Finn stiffen beside her, felt the sudden silence spread like a shockwave through both delegations. And then she felt it, the presence behind her. Like standing at the edge of a star, Jessica turned slowly, her blood turning to ice water. Sovereign Zathira stood directly behind her. The queen had moved with impossible silence, crossing the entire throne room, while Jessica had been staring at what she now realized was a holographic projection on the throne, a placeholder, while the actual sovereign walked among her guests that up close. Zathira was even more breathtaking and absolutely terrifying. She towered over Jessica by at least 2 feet, and those compound eyes, thousands of tiny lenses focused on her with an intensity that made Jessica feel transparent. The queen's mandibles clicked in what could have been speech or a threat display. Her bioluminescent patterns shifted to deep crimson. "A human finds me beautiful," Zathira said, her voice like crystals chimming in harmony. How unexpected. Every Xerithian in the room had frozen. Ambassador Chen looked like she might have a stroke. The queen's guards had their weapons half raised, unsure whether this was an insult or something else entirely. Jessica's mouth was completely dry. This was it. She'd just insulted an alien queen who could turn Earth into a cinder with a single command. Her mind raced through every xenocultural briefing, every protocol, and then something clicked. She was human. Humans didn't back down. That's what made them special in this galaxy, their absolute, stubborn refusal to be cowed. Yes, Your Majesty, Jessica said, her voice steadier than she felt. I do. In my culture, we have a saying, truth spoken from the heart needs no apology. I spoke truth. You are beautiful not despite being alien to me, but because of your uniqueness. Your form tells a story of evolution, culture, and power that took millions of years to write. How could I see that and not find it beautiful? The silence stretched. Finn had stopped breathing beside her. Then Sovereign Zathira's bioluminescence shifted from crimson to gold, spreading across her exoskeleton in waves. Her mandibles clicked again, and this time it sounded almost like laughter. The humans are bold, the Queen said, but there was something new in her voice. I was told this. I did not believe it. She leaned closer, studying Jessica with those kaleidoscopic eyes. Among my people, such directness would be cause for execution. But I have studied your species, Jessica Chentu of Earth. It's Jessica Harper, Your Majesty. Chen is our ambassador. More of that crystal laughter. Even now, you correct a sovereign. Remarkable. Zathira straightened, her luminescence settling into warm amber. Your species fascinates me. You've been to the stars for barely a breath, yet you look at beings who have ruled for millennia and see beauty, not threat, not opportunity, just beauty. She turned to address both delegations. This is why humanity will thrive in our galaxy. Not because of your weapons or your ships, but because of this, she gestured to Jessica. This absolute inability to be anything but authentically yourselves. The tension in the room broke like a dam. The Zirithian guards lowered their weapons. Ambassador Chen looked ready to collapse with relief. Sovereign Zathira extended one taloned hand to Jessica. You will walk with me, human. I would know more about a species brave or foolish enough to compliment a queen to her face. As Jessica took that crystalline hand, feeling its surprising warmth, Finn whispered behind her, only you could accidentally diplomacy your way into befriending an alien empress. Jessica grinned despite herself. Humanity, fuck yeah, indeed.